You wake. To the squabbling of pigeons, the scratch of the claws on the window ledge. You wake, but you keep your eyes tightly shut. It's not yet 7 a.m. Your mother stirs in the bed on the other side of the room. Soon you'll hear her moving around the flat as she gets ready for work. You wait until she's gone, closing the door quietly behind her. Then you jump out of bed. You put on your tartan skirt, your polo neck, Bay City roller bobby socks that your aunt sent from Boston, and the black shoes. You walk down 3 flights of stairs to the street. You walk past the grocery store. You walk past the pub. You walk past the church and the house next to the church where the priest lives with his housekeeper. Then you can run. Down the avenue with big houses, past the new apartments, past the old flats. You're in the field by the canal. Cowslips wet your legs with white spit. Grass seeds stick to your legs like the loaves of bread in the Thompson Window Bakery, covered in sesame seeds. You're headed to the far field to count the horses. You've been counting the horses for 4 weeks and for 3 days. The piece I chose for my interpretation piece is by Danielle McLaughlin. It's a short story called Hook. It's from her collection of short stories called Dinosaurs on Other Planets. I chose it because it speaks about all the things I like. Horses and fishing and spending time with family. Recently, I moved home to spend some time after the military to relax before I moved away to college. I planned to go to school in Colorado. This was before the pandemic. To kill time during the pandemic, I took up fly fishing. My dad is really interested in it, so I thought I would do it so I could spend more time with him. I've become very attuned with it. I like it very much. I've also found myself wanting to reach further back into my past of things that I used to do with my family, like horses. We used to ride for hours. We'd work with the horses and clean the stalls. I grew up around them, horses and cattle and ranching. I find myself wanting to go back there. So now, I find myself picking this story for an interpretation piece because I was suggested to pick something with emotion so it could help you deliver a believable speech. When you get near, you shut your eyes. Keep walking like a blind person. You climb the gate, measure the distance to the top of the hill by counting steps. You take a deep breath and open your eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 palominos, a piebald, 2 grays. You release your breath, and now you must find the hook. One Saturday, 4 weeks and 4 days ago, your mother took you fishing. The people who lived in the flat before you had left a fly fishing rod. The reel was broken, but your mother said there was no need for a reel anyway. You'd only get your fingers caught. You took cheese as bait, rolled into little balls like marteau. At the canal, your mother lay back on the field, closed her eyes. Your eyes were on the river, watching the fish. When you turned to ask if there was more cheese, you saw that a horse was snuffling your mother's hair with his velvety lips. You shouted, and he broke away into a gallop. His ears flat, his legs high enough that you could see the bottoms of his hooves, and you jerked the rod out of the water so fast it became entangled and the hook broke. That was when you lost the hook. This morning, like all the mornings before, you didn't find it. You wonder if it will soften as it rusts, if it will soon be soft and harmless like Mr. Gordon in the ground floor flat, or if it will be in the wrong place at the wrong time, like Mother's friend, Colette. You walk home, put your copybooks in your bag, sprinkle sugar on a slice of bread to take for lunch. You wish you didn't use the toilet. You would rather wait until you got to school, but it's an emergency. You take a toilet paper from the cupboard, you go down 1 flight of stairs. Oh, you're only in the toilet 2 minutes when Mr. Gordon starts banging on the door. Your mother says he's supposed to use the ground floor toilet, but if you tell him that, he only says it's blocked. You pee as fast as you can, and when you open the door, Mr. Gordon looks at you, at your face, at your tummy, down at your legs, and says, "What have you done with my razor blades?" "Nothing," you tell him. He is always saying you've stolen things. "I bet you know where you're hiding them. I bet I know where you're hiding them," he says. The front of your tartan skirt, there are 2 pockets. He squeezes his hands into them, making his fingers wiggle back and forth. How old are you, he asks. 9, 10? But before he can answer, he spins around and puts his hand on your bottom. There are footsteps on the landing. Mr. Gordon steps away and picks up a towel. He rubs it all over his face even though he hasn't washed himself. Miss Haggerty from the first floor, who usually stays in bed all morning, puts her head around the door. She frowns. Out, she says, now. And you think she's talking to you, but she isn't. At school, you try to learn your tables, but all you see in your head is a field of dead horses. They have eaten your fishhook. They are lying on their sides, their tongues hanging out, and there are flies crawling on them. The flies that feed on dead things and land on your bread when you leave the window open. In death, the horses have multiplied. There's a whole row of them now. And you think it must be like the loaves and fishes because there was only one fishhook. It's a miracle, and it isn't fair. Maybe the hook split in 2, like division. Maybe it split in 3 or 4 or 10. At small break, you go up to Miss Carey in the yard and say, Miss, how many horses could one fishhook kill? What's this about, Lillian, she says. But one of the senior infants falls and cuts his knee and she has to rush off. Back at the flat after school, your mother is cross but won't say about what. At tea time, she says, I think we need to get away. You and me. I think it's time we move on. Where? You say. Maybe your granny's, she says, or to Aunt Ellen in Cork. You drop your fork, and your sausage falls on the floor. You tell her you can't go. You haven't found the fishhook. She says that she's sick and tired of hearing about the bloody fishhook. Don't you have anything bigger going on? Don't you have anything else to worry about? But you can't imagine anything bigger than a field of dead horses. Later, while your mother packs, you push open the sash window above your bed. By moonlight, you inspect the pigeon droppings on the window ledge. Tonight they are gray and runny with a couple little pink balls. The pink balls are as beautiful as pearls, and you would like to lift one out, but already a picture is forming. The ball, you are sure, is the head of someone you know. You leave it where it is. You don't want to risk it. You already are a killer of horses. Tomorrow you'll ask Miss Carey if fishhooks dissolve in the grass like apple cores and peach stones, and how long it takes for that to happen. You'll ask if she wouldn't mind checking on the horses on her way to school. It wouldn't be hard for her to drive that way in the mornings to climb the gate. You'll explain counting them. As your mother rushes about, you consider the moon. Notice how prettily it illuminates the pigeon droppings. You wonder, what is it that keeps it up there? And what happens when it falls?